Right, welcome back again, everybody, and thanks for watching the removal of the engine. I'm going to start this one up as the next video in the line, basically. So what we've got at the moment, I've bolted the engine into the stand so I can work on it all. And what I'm going to do is just put these screws, nuts and bolts in the jar that I've got, or ice cream tub actually. So I've got all the parts we've already taken off. So excuse me for a few minutes, and right, so I'm going to start off taking the hub off. And the easiest way, obviously, without a wheel on, is to just put a socket on and just give it a few taps. Right, so I've managed to get a socket that fits. There we go. And the rear hub should just pull straight towards you. There we go. Washer inside. So what I would say is put the washer back on and the nut on to save the threads. This model is it's got the oil seal inside, so I'm just going to put the hub somewhere safe. And the shoes are fairly good still; they don't need changing. I don't know where my socket's gone for that. I don't find it. I've had to use the Vespa toolkit to get it off, but I'll get a socket when we rebuild it anyway. So, as I was saying before, I was having trouble getting that off. We're going to take the clutch out. That's number one job. So we need a 10mm for that. I'll get my socket set out and get a 10mm for that. Yeah, that'll be long enough. 11. If I just bring you up slightly higher as well, and I'll turn it around so you can actually see what I'm doing. Right, there's 3 bolts that hold the clutch cover on 1, 2 and 3. They shouldn't be too tight. There you go. 1. I don't know why I try to do things sat down. I try and keep out of the way of the camera, but sometimes needs must. Right. So again, I want to keep these bolts, putting them back in where they come out of. Number 1. I've never actually built a Vespa engine with a stand before, and I don't know if it's easier or not, to be honest with you. This is easier, but you'd normally have the engine just sat on an angle. Well, number 2 and number 3. What you've got to be careful here is the plunger. You don't lose the plunger. And this has got a standard 207 hole or 7 spring clutch. So there's our nuts. What I tend to do is just get a hammer and just give the lever a slight tap just to break the seal, because it's back to front, you see. It's a nightmare, but that's good enough. And there's our clutch. There's a O-ring on there, which I did replace last time, so I'm not doing it this time. Just give that a wipe. And that's the plunger that I'm on about. I mean, there's no wear on that at all. That's brilliant. I'm just going to bring that up by pushing the lever and taking it out. The 200 ones have got 200 written inside them. Hopefully you can pick that up. And if you're putting a Koza clutch in, you have to rub away here. You can put a spacer on there as well. I've got one somewhere I can show. So let's get my ice cream box, and the plunger's in the ice cream box. Right, whatever I've done with the screwdrivers, it's a nightmare, isn't it? We just need to put these screws back in. That one came from there. A lot of people don't screw these in far enough when they're putting, you know, the clutch holding tools, and then they wonder why they get problems with the threads going. Screw them all the way in. You've got as much maximum depth as you can. You've got the strongest possible connection. Right, that's in. The cover that has got a little bit of wear on that, not much. I can just see where the plunger's been hitting it. This is held on with a spring. You just get a screwdriver in there, a little one, or your finger, push it down and then pull it towards you. I'm just trying to find my screwdriver wherever it's gone. Straighten that up a bit. There it is. Need that socket. Not 10, I need an 11 in a minute. But so pull down. If you look at the small hole and a large hole, the large hole is the one that you pull the spring down in, like that, and you see how easy that came off. Nice and easy. Again, that goes into the ice cream box, and then what we'll see on here is I've put a Koza later bolt on and washer. No real reason, only that it's just they're easier if you've got your engine in to actually get to undo anything. The old original castle nut ones, which I've got somewhere, I'll show you when we come to rebuild it. They are notorious for, when you try and over tighten them, for being damaged. So we need our clutch holding tool, which you just drop in over a hole, and on the side of the clutch where the plates are, like that, you see that going into one of them, and that'll hold the clutch basically to undo or tighten up. We need it this way, so stick it on the top and let it drop into one of them, so it'll just hold. Sod's law, I'll knock it out, but that's fine enough to undo that. We'll be undoing it that way. It's a standard, it's not a cross left hand or right hand thread, so it's just a standard way of undoing it. And I believe that's a 14 millimeter. Let's see, 14 is that? Yeah, there you go, 14 mil on it. So we need a little extension, and our ratchet, wherever that's gone there, and then all we do is undo that bolt. There you go. I'll undo the bolt. That's the Koza type bolt. And what people tell you to do then is to get a couple of screwdrivers, one on either side, and just lever the clutch out by its plates. Slowly. Try and bring it out level. There is no puller as far as I'm aware for these, so turn it around a bit. You can actually do it with one. I'll do it with one just to show people. So you just on the edge, rock it backwards and forwards. I don't know if they're ever loose enough just to pull off, I doubt it, but you can go from side to side when you're in the clutch itself. Just making sure the washer's loose inside, or I'll be pushing against the washer as well. I can actually feel it moving very, very small. On the GS's they've got a thread in these, so you've got an extractor that pushes and pulls off the clutch, but for some reason they've dropped that. I suppose all over the years the bodgers don't buy all the correct tools, and they've come to give up. Piaggio have given up the ghost, so yeah, let's do it with 2. And again, another easy job that's hard because of the camera being in the way, but hey ho, I'll choose to make these videos. What we're going to make sure is that we don't go too mad and it just flies off and hits the floor and blows up into a million pieces. So I'm trying to just give it a wiggle. I think the washer there stopping it, it's catching against the crankshaft threads, so I need a little bit of a hook to unhook it. I don't know if I'll get it out with a screwdriver by turning it. Up a bit. Where's my long nose pliers? I've got some tweezers on the I don't know if that attachment will do it on me worn out Swiss Army knife. Just wondering if that will get in and grab it. Nearly. I've got tweezers somewhere in it. No, they're missing. What about a corkscrew? Try that. See if we can get in on. No, it's too big. Let's try a smaller blade. See, again, out of this engine will be leaning towards here now, and it will probably just fall off. But it's not, it's just turning around. What it does, the washer just drops into the thread and then you're pulling against the thread. So I'm just trying to think what I can use to pull the washer off. What about very thin long nose pliers? See if they'll get in around the crank. Maybe not. I don't know why it's so hard sometimes to do the most stupid jobs. You don't want to go mad against the casings as well, because all you'll do is you'll put and then just hook the washer out. There you go. How hard was that? And again, that's the Koza spring washer that holds on the clutch. But at least, yeah, look at that, it's come straight off as a whole unit. And there's a special tool to compress that, which is what we're going to be looking at. Blade below that, whether it's going to pick off a bit easier. There she comes. There we go. So I've taken the clip off just by using a blade under it. I've got hundreds of these again back in the ice cream box, and then we can pull off. We've got a washer, little flat washer, and another one. If I pull off the cog, you can see that's the second one behind. So them two washers, you can't miss them up because they've got a little oil way in them. Can you see that? Looks like a planet, both of them. That's to let oil around this post. And again, you should never see any wear there because they sit on that spacer. And that's the drive cog. You can see there's no damage to that at all. Like I say, I've never seen in all the years building them. I don't understand these people that slag off the auto lube, because I just find it works well as well. Right, that seems to be quite tight on the woodruff key for some reason. Let's see if I can just knock out the woodruff key. No, I'm going to have to use a little hammer just to free it. Turn the crank round so it's on the top, because if you're ever building a Vespa engine yourself, don't mess around with the woodruff key, dropping it in there, because if you drop a woodruff key inside, see that's slightly caught. If you drop a woodruff key inside there, it can get caught in the gears, and if it gets caught in the gears while you're driving down the road, that engine will just, or the wheels will just stop. And again, brand spanking new crank. You are probably a little bit away from it, but gearbox oil everywhere, nice and clean inside. The engine casings themselves are absolutely mint. You know, all the cogs, everything inside was brilliant. So as far as I'm concerned, we're finished on this side of the engine for this moment. So we've got our clutch out. I need to put that back on because we're going to be knocking slightly the crankshaft out in a bit. So we need that on when we knock it, and obviously straight, make sure it's all the way on. So we'll turn the engine around. I'll just hang up the clutch holding tool. Turn this engine around, and then we can get an 11mm socket on and start taking the side off. And again, leave the kickstart on. Don't knock that off yet. So we've got a number of bolts, or nuts I should say, holding on the this side to the other side, the mag side if you want to call it that, and the drive side to the other side, because we'll be pulling this off and engaging the kickstart. We'll use this lever to pull them apart. So if we get an 11mm socket on there, put our pins back. I want my 11mm socket out for them. That's that one. And my little ratchet. And wherever the extension's gone, there it is, trying to hide from me. We'll leave the 10 on there and we'll put the 11 on. It doesn't really matter where you start taking them off. I'll go circles. So start at the bottom of the middle and just crack it off. One, diagonal, diagonal. I don't know if you can actually see what I'm doing here. Turn that round a bit more. hopefully you're a bit closer. I'll move the camera in a bit more and work around it. That might actually be okay. So I've started here, then I've done that one, then that one, and then I'm going to be doing that one. So that one's loose, this one. If I knock the camera, you'll have to excuse me. I'll just, again, slightly. And then we've got top one here, one outside the fan casing here, and then the bottom one here. That one's quite tight actually. And then we need to move from diagonal, so go to here. It's done. Bring your kickstart down, get to that one. There we go, it's going. It doesn't help with the fact that the kickstart's in the way, but we do need that, so. There we go. So I can take the kickstart out of the way and I'll bring you back out again. Excuse the camera moving. Right, just lock that off so it doesn't keep moving. So I've done that one, so I'm going to be doing that one next. Then we'll end up with basically that one at the bottom, and there's a long one, or is that the long one? There's one that goes through the casings itself, which I think I've actually done. So, and we'll take off the extension for this one at the back. Yeah, that is right. Oh. I'm trying to keep my head out of the way of the camera. Right. That clipped on. So we're back doing the bottom one here. Upside down and back to front, nightmare. Right, we're going to take this one out first. So I'm going to take that all the way out. There's a couple of locating pins, there's one there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the nuts back on the studs. So the studs pull out. Just give them a wipe. They're all, I've never seen one again without oil on them. And you think these have been out in all weathers in 5 years, and you know, I think they're as good as new. I'm just giving it a wipe to show you. That's not bad for 5 years, and that's at the bottom. If anything, that's going to be the worst of the lot. These are original nuts. I haven't changed these to stainless steel. They are what came with the bike, reused. So I have got M7s, I might change them, see how I feel. And we've got one. Now you can take them off in any order that you want, really. It's just, again, I just do them in reverse order. Well, that one next. In fact, let me get the screwdriver attachment, because that'll save a lot of messing about, make it a lot quicker. I'll just put that socket on the screw attachment and just unscrew. It's a lot easier and quicker. So that one's free. Right. And again, the nut, push the stud through. And the gasket sealant on there's Hermatite red. which I've just wiped off again. You know, they're not bad for 5 years old, are they? They were new. There's no rust on them at all, but then I shouldn't expect rust to be on them when they're covered in oil. So again, I'm just making it up so they are a set as they were built. That one off. They're all different sizes on the different casings. That's one thing to look out for when you're buying a kit. Sometimes, like that one won't come out because the back brake's in the way. You have to pull the back brake out the way for that. We won't bother with that at the moment. I'm quite happy to just carry on. So we'll put them up there out the way so we know what they belong to. Undo this one. It's pretty boring watching something like this, but you know, a lot of the people doing these videos, they'll show, oh, the engine's off, the side's off, you know what I mean? And that might be okay for people that build engines, but then if you know what you're doing with an engine, why are you watching these videos? I suppose, you know, I don't know everything about them, so I watch loads and loads of scooter videos from different people, and most of them are pretty good, to be honest, and you do learn something. We're always learning. That's the whole point of being on the planet, I think. Right, I'll take that one off next. The last ones I'm going to leave on are the ones around the mag side, so push them in again and take the washer. Again, give it a wipe. Doesn't hurt to have clean stuff, does it? And just make sure it's on. Perfectly usable again. No reason why not to. As I was saying, there's different screw types at the bottom. Some go right the way through, like this is a long one. And when you're buying a kit, you make sure you get the kit for your engine. So if, like in this case, it's a non-electric start. Get the non-electric start kit. Don't get the just the PX 200E or whatever, because you'll end up with the ones for the electric start motors. And a lot of people say they're all the same casings. Well, I'll beg to differ, because I found that the screws are different from them. You know, different lengths, and a bit like the GS's there. These ones in here are shorter because they've got a captive nut that goes on them. So we will get around to doing a GS engine, you know, wide frame engine in the future. So that's another one we've saved, and another one there. That's another one, and we need the washers off. Push the stud through and grab the washer, and we've got our stud again. These ones tend to be drier because they're where the fan is, so any oil and what have you, and again, you know, very minimal signs of aging on them. Brilliant. And again, give that a wipe. So I'm down to this one underneath the Kickstarter. So just move the kickstart down and just undo that one. And as you can see, this has got the cable holder for the gears. So that won't have a flat washer, it'll just have that acts as the flat washer and a spring washer and a nut, of course. So push that through, and that's, see where that is underneath inside the engine there, and look at the length of that one. Again, I don't know why that's a different colour, it's not the Piaggio grey. Weird, but each to their own. It's still good. A lot of Vespa original stuff is it's got this like anodized goldy colour to it, like that, as well as the grey. Right, we're getting close to being able to split these casings, so I need these 4 off now. And what I'll actually show you the weak spot in a PX engine for oil seal leaks, gearbox oil seal leaks. It's not just the main side, drive side oil seal. It's around here that the gasket goes really thin. When I take the engine apart, I'll show you. And again, all we'd have to do, we've got knocking points underneath and above. I realised I wasn't taking the washers off there, so I don't want to lose any of these. Last one. Two washers. And before we knock the side of the engine off, I just want to talk to you about what's inside here. If you look in there, there's like a cap inside that on a little lay shaft which the clutch spins around on. Not the clutch, the cush drive, sorry. You've got